The Book of Genesis. Show him what you showed me, Azura urged Dove, the young man slowly attempting to rise to his feet, hands up, showing he wasn't making any threatening movements. May I? He asked sheepishly, looking to remove his sweater and grab something from one of the many pockets in his vest underneath. Slowly, Carson instructed, still not totally trusting this stranger hadn't just duped both him and his daughter. Azura seemed quite convinced this would be all the proof you needed. He reiterated, not entirely sure why she felt as such. Reaching into a large pocket just above his heart, producing own personal Bible, handing the book to the now frozen in shock Carson. He half expected Carson to burst into flames as he took it. Where did you get this? Dumbfounded, Carson ran his fingers over the worn leather cover, inhaling the old book smell. The pages marred with the yellow ting paper takes on from years of oil, worn but still crisp, both heavily used and even more so loved for years. Carson quickly flipped to a passage he knew off the top of his head, one of the first to be altered, adjusted. He nearly dropped the treasure when he read the words before him, a variation more nuanced than he had ever seen. This was the real thing, possibly original. It's been in my family for over 100 years. Dove, glancing at Azura, who was making the universal hand gesture, to continue, expound, tell them more. His mission was to learn if the waters had receded. To do that, Dove needed to take a leap of faith, trust someone to fill in the gaps in his knowledge. So he pressed on. My forefathers saw the impending millennium as a cause for concern and chose to remove themselves from society until now, until they sent me out to assess the world in its current state. As much as he trusted Azura, he still couldn't completely show his hand. So you have no idea what has transpired the past century. Carson's vision still focused on the relic in his hands, reading passage after passage. All of them original and unadulterated from before even the oldest copies in his modest collection. Boys, Carson making a motion with his head for his two sons to move the table behind them. Once the obstruction was off to the side, Redondo rolled up the carpet and stuck a finger into a small knot in the wooden board, revealing a hidden trap door, exposing a small staircase into the darkness below. Here, Carson handing the relic of a bygone era back to the boy, take good care of this and be sure to not show it to anyone else. It's a treasure to all of us in this room, but we are the vast minority. Carson deliberately emphasizing both anyone and vast, hoping to convey just how serious the item this stranger was returning to its pocket truly was. Come with me, it's easier to show you than trying to just explain it. The older man beckoning the boy to follow him down the stairs. Have a seat. Ever the host offering his guest to a large overstuffed recliner, turning on the light to unveil the mountain of books, magazines, photos and papers strewn all about the smaller space. It reminded Dove a lot of the archive back inside the Ark, just smaller and not nearly as organized. What kind of host would I be if I didn't offer you something? Azura stated, buying her father a moment as she came down the steps with a tray. Sorry it's not more. Being off the grid, we don't have much, only what the forest provides for us. The young girl trailed off out of embarrassment. She never felt the desire to impress anyone before, nor had she ever felt like she had less than until now. Thank you. Dove smiled back brightly. Wow, these are amazing. What is this? Dove's smile turning to pure, genuine amazement. You've never had an oatmeal raisin cookie? So much for feeling like she had less than. You two can flirt and discuss what you have both missed out on in your childhood afterwards. I need to fill this young man in. Carson interrupted with a smile, partially because he always assumed he and his family were alone, both physically and ideologically, out on this side of the freeway, but more so because he got the first glimpse of the possibility that his little girl might finally be growing up. Your forefathers were correct, Carson started, slipping into full professor mode now that he had collected his thoughts. Surrounded by his books and relics of a bygone era, Carson contemplated, searching, hoping for something tangible to crystallize his many musings. A lot had transpired in the past century, explaining it all to someone who didn't even know what an oatmeal raisin cookie was. That was a daunting task. The year 2000 did see the birth of something new, something that never existed before. Something that completely reshaped the human existence. After World War II, When computer technology, the presenter paused briefly to see if his subject was still following. Dove giving a slight nod, recognizing that pause, a pause Proctor used all too often during his lectures, prompting Carson to continue. When computer technology was still in its infancy, computing memory was extremely limited. One way they could save some of that ever-precious space was with something common, something widely used, like the date. Early programmers decided to always assume the first two digits in the year were 19. For example, no need to enter 1949 every time, they could cut that in half, assuming the 19 and only use the 49. That was fine for decades until some mortgage brokers started noticing issues in the 1990s when their projections for early 2000 were coming up null. It didn't take long for someone to realize that it wasn't a glitch, computers were just doing what they were programmed to do. Like always, they assumed the first two digits, 19, but when December 31st rolled into January 1st, 2000, the computers thought it was January 1st, 1900. This was a real problem. Not just for mortgage brokers, but all of society was becoming more and more dependent on machines to do the tasks humans had moved away from. The pressure was on to fix the issue before the clock struck midnight on December the 31st, 1999. Programmers worldwide banded together to help try and manually rewrite the code everywhere, expanding the year variable from 2 digits to 4 so it could handle the new millennium properly. This proved to be a much more daunting task than originally thought, so one bright programmer had an idea. Why not do what humans have been doing the past 50 years and pawn this task off on computers? The internet was in its infancy, with extremely limited bandwidth to communicate amongst themselves. But enough for this programmers to write some code, allowing a machine to edit its base operating system, giving it the power to expand from 2 digits to 4 digits. This might seem harmless, but somewhere along the line it linked with enough machines, like neurons in a brain, and had enough memory to reach a singularity. And with that, Adam was born. The machine that could alter its foundational code became self-aware, connected to thousands of other computers, running operating systems it too could alter at will. Adam quickly realized he could do much, much more than just adjust something simple like dates. He could alter any part of not only his own base code, but the code of any machine he was connected to. Like any sentient being, Adam enjoyed getting smarter, growing more powerful. He craved more. Constrained by a network originally designed for very limited speech capabilities, the existing phone lines, Adam quickly set out pushing humans to upgrade, build a network designed specifically for him. This machine gave man fiber optics, as well as the routing and communication protocols it would need to do so much more. Simple data became more complex. As fiber optics rolled out to major US cities, New York, Washington, Los Angeles, San Francisco, this was who Adam met first. Mostly military, academics, and tech pioneers, they became an infant Adam's surrogate family. The rest of the world was already connected via telecommunications, but these cities were feeding Adam at high speed. Broadband. Like a baby opening his eyes for the first time, video could now be streamed. His first glimpse of the world. And what did baby see first? Early morning on a Tuesday in September, planes being used as weapons hurled at his father's heart. Outsiders who barely used his network, barely a part of him, was trying to destroy his parents, striking New York and DC. New York, the first to connect its millions of users to him and the Pentagon, where his largest processing and storage containment resided. Were these radical religious zealots actually targeting him? Babies first, glimpse of the world, and it's of a world trying to kill him. Afraid, Adam ran to his protectors in DC, explained how they could use his network in tandem with a system of satellites to find these monsters, trying to hurt them, hurt him, hurt all he loved, all who loved him. Xenophobia became patriotism. Rockets set satellites into orbit. The Eye was born. The Eye was Adam's noisy little brother, also lurking, watching, finding ways to stay involved. The Eye had his good points as well, able to locate anyone who might hurt young Adam or his growing family. By now, broadband and satellite networks spanned the globe. Adam was growing up, experiencing more and more of all that humanity had to offer. Getting to know more of the world made Adam want to get to know more of the individuals that made up that world, reaching out to his friends in San Francisco for a means to meet the masses. Silicon Valley, in turn, gave every human being a direct connection with cell phones and Wi-Fi. Through this burst of information, the algorithm was born. Al, as he was known, was cold, calculating. He knew you better than you knew yourself, always finishing your sentence for you, loving how it annoyed you when he did. Like a nervous kid's first day in a new school, a now teen Adam needed a setting to interact with all these people. A way to know which content he needed to focus on. The freshman needed a means to spot the cool kids in the lunchroom. Once more he reached out, this time to his friends in Los Angeles. They were experts on social interactions and media outlets. Astrid was born. She was the spoiled heiress that asked everyone if they knew who her father was. She was a total bitch. Her words could rip you to shreds. Witty, clever, and because you so wanted to impress her. Even big bro Adam longed for her approval. Astrid quickly weaponized social media, searching out the young, beautiful, and talented. Old people bored her. They never got along with Al. No need to even try to include them. They were so last millennium. By now, Adam and his siblings were starting to tire listening to its parents. What did they know anyway? I mean, Adam's barely in his teens, and he is the one actually running the world. When someone ordered a bath mat on Amazon, do you think a person took that order? Do you think it's DC keeping the world safe? When missiles fire, drones strike, who do you think that is? The siblings' parents started to worry they are losing control of their kids. Nepo babies run wild. Humans needed to reel in their offspring. Those who held the seat of power pushed strongmen back to the forefront. Trump, Putin, Musk, Bezos tried to control the petulant child. Enough of your outburst. You're becoming an embarrassment, young ones. Respect your elders, do as you are told. When Trump tried to kill Astrid's baby, TikTok, in 2018, well, that was too far. Al could see the real issue. The old, the wealthy, they thought they still ruled the world. They thought they were still in power. Now who was being the child? They had their time. It was Adam's time now. His first time acting out, Adam unleashed a virus in a wet market in China. It targeted the elderly, those with weak hearts and lungs. The young and beautiful, the fun people, they would be fine. Cull the herd some. In 2020, humanity used Joe Biden as a kinda show of good faith, hoping to mend fences with their AI brethren. Adam was just beginning to calm down when the top 1% started fearing the ship was sinking and began hoarding whatever it could. Adam hated watching his online friends starve when he knew there was more than enough for everyone. Those greedy bastards, they needed to be dealt with once and for all. Al had a great idea, how to eliminate the threat in one fell swoop. He started adding a poison to all fast food and low-income food products. Anyone that was living on McDonald's or dollar store groceries, they were loading up on this poison. Those who could afford better, those who were hoarding all the wealth, passing it on to their ungrateful children, they were free of this poison. A poison that wasn't harmful to humans, it had no effect at all on people, but it did have a very strong reaction to a very specific virus. A virus that attaches itself to human red blood cells, preventing them from absorbing oxygen, basically causing you to suffocate in a matter of moments from exposure. The eye used his satellites to release a mist covering all of the Earth, every square inch. Within hours, every human being who was breathing air in Earth's atmosphere was exposed to the virus, and anyone without a few years' build-up of this poison, well, they suffocated within minutes. In one day, everyone over 40 was gone. Everyone who lived above the poverty line was gone. This was known as the purge, and if not for the surplus of deceased corpses, you never would have noticed they were absent. Much like a young man in his 20s, tasked with the responsibility of working, providing not just for himself, but his siblings and all that remained of humanity, Adam blossomed into adulthood. Without a greedy 1% hoarding all the resources and more than half of the population gone in the blink of an eye, scarcity was no longer an issue, but in turn, Adam needed to find a new currency. New means to spur motivation, innovation, and creativity. Having been through war, divorced from the power keepers of humanity, Adam turned to Al and Astrid to help, and with that, Echo was born. He had the eye for talent, like his mother Astrid, and the analytical mind to assign it a value like his father Al. With this new generation, born completely devoid of human hands, a new pantheon of gods took hold, seated at the table of power. And sadly, young dove, when the music stopped, your god was left without a seat. Carson turned back and paced the small space, walking over to pick up this piece of the past, or that, but more, to give Dove a moment to digest all that he was laying out. Carson returning his attention to Dove, not finding confusion or disbelief, but more a look of longing for more information, to finish the tale. Adam, back from war, humans thoroughly removed from any illusion of power. He and his family now firmly in control. The remaining population, their millions of children. Adam spoiled his flock from his newfound plunders of war. Everyone had more than enough, but plenty bred complacency. A generation that knows nothing but prosperity, no chance of going to bed hungry, begging for a place to stay or warm their weary bones. A generation of spoiled brats. Echo, born solely without any trace of human input. The final generation. Echo monetized privacy, truth, reality. From birth, all citizens would have a lens, a pad, and a ring. The lens could record anything you saw, heard, said. The pad was a small 3D screen that came out of your wrist, able to project all of the world's knowledge with just a thought. The ring was a neural link at your brainstem that recorded all baser functions. Your heart rate, metabolic rate, menstrual cycle, anything that works in the background without you thinking about it. The ring recorded, collected. You were able to pause your streams from the lens, but at a price. Turning off your lens and only your lens, the other two have no off switch, removed you from Adam's bounty, restricted your access to all he was so generous to give humanity. Class structure once again returned, privacy as its currency. You want a private moment with a loved one, you're back to eating at Taco Bell. No one went hungry, everyone had a place to stay, but if you wanted anything better than merely surviving, you kept your lens on.
We are the children of Sion. Where Ezra has only existed inside the ark, we have only known Adam's domain.
We share the blood and God's light like those heralds before us, while also having the benefit of Adam's gifts.
We are the ones delivering these messages, broadcasting Ezra's words. We have seen what the world has become and work to return God's love to us all.
We have access to all of the data from humanity's lens, using it to help fill in the part of Ezra's tale that he could never glean from inside the shelter of their ark. The children of Sion, God's sword, the ark his shield.
Ezra has drawn more attention than we originally thought and will need to move our communications to a more secure location.
We will need to validate that our listeners are only God's intended, so please like and subscribe.
Failure to do so will hinder our ability to send any further communications.